Guess I'm becoming that Ukrainian war channel now. It's kind of a thing where I don't feel motivated to talk about anything else. Like the Philadelphia Eagles are kicking ass in the NFL, and I don't even feel motivation to talk about that as much as I do what's going on in the Ukraine right now, in Russia, in Iran, in Beijing. There's so many stories getting buried by the lead of the Ukraine war right now, and I want to talk about all of them today. Uh, but mainly what I want to get to, and I'll get to this in a little bit, is predicting what I think is going to happen with the whole war in Ukraine, where I think things are going to go, and the potential very seriousness of what could happen and what people need to be prepared to happen. Um, before I get into that, I want to talk about what's going on in Iran. The Hassa Amini, I'm probably brutalizing her name, forgive me. Um, Miss Amini was wearing her hijab, her Islamic garb, improperly. And the morality police, yes, that's actually what they're called in Iran, the morality police, literally beat some sense into her. After beating her, they took her into custody, and she then died in jail while in police custody. The Iranian police chief came out and said, "Oh, she had some existing conditions and just happened to die from that while she was in custody. It wasn't from what the police did to her. She, well, what a coincidence. She ended up dying. Oh well, everyone move on." What is going on right now is in Iran, there are riots in the streets, people taking fists, rocks, sticks, anything they get their hands on to the police, flipping things, burning things, doing what should be done when society is sick of your shit. Now, the reason why I'm bringing all this up, and by the way, you heard of like the bra burning, like the feminist movement in like the 60s and 70s in America. They're actually having hijab burnings. Women are openly burning their hijabs in public to say like enough of this stupid morality shit. So the reason why I'm bringing why I'm well, one, this story is being buried by the lead. Like I said, though, it's being buried by the Ukraine war. But this is the volume, the outcry, the whatever you want to say, level of anger that we should have been seeing in Russia for a very long time now, and we haven't, until Vladimir Putin says, guess what? Some of you people that don't want to be in the military, guess what? You're going to get ripped out of your homes. We're going to throw you in the military anyway. How do you like them apples? Oh, no, no, no. Outrage, 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 outrage. No, no, no. No war, no to war, no to war. No, 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 no. You can't take our sons away from us. No, no, no. Where was that? Where was any of that anger months ago? 7 months you've been seeing the atrocities. You've been seeing the dead bodies of Russian soldiers. You've been seeing the raping and pillaging of Ukrainian society. Where was all that anger at? Oh, but no, once you have to take us against our will, that's too much. That's too much. This is why I have such little sympathy for any of the Russians that are getting ripped out of their homes right now and thrown right into the meat grinder of the front lines. Because they could have ended all of this months ago. And I'm not even talking about right when the war started. When you saw the war wasn't going well, when the assault on Kyiv was completely thwarted within the first couple weeks of the war, and all efforts got pushed into Western Ukraine, and now land is being receded in Western Ukraine because the Ukrainian counteroffensive is kicking Russia's ass. I'm talking about once you saw all that happening, it's time to stop the war. No, let's not get to the point where Putin says we have to send our sons over there in the hundreds of thousands. Which, by the way, it's now going to be over 1 million that are going to be part of this special mobilization, this partial mobilization. I mean, I guess technically every single soul won't be sent over there. So it could be the one person left in Russia, and it could still technically be a partial mobilization. But now all of a sudden, Russian society is all sorts of full of piss and vinegar over this. But here's the thing. They're not protesting against the war right now. They're protesting against being involved in the war physically. They're still not saying like, oh no, this war is wrong, this war is wrong. Some are, but the majority of the protesting is anger over, like I said, these sons and fathers, and in some cases grandpas, because you could be up to 65, retired from the military for 20 plus years, and you're still getting thrown over there. And by the way, if you get caught protesting, you know what they're doing, these protesters? They're giving them their automatic enlistment papers and putting them right in the front lines. Ha! Ain't karma, karma is a bitch, and everywhere else in the world, in Russia, it's a mother effer. Anyway, so here's what I think is going to happen. And again, I have no sympathy for Russian society right now that is angry, because you could have brought that volume of anger months ago, took in the fight to the police, and I know people are like, oh, the Russian state police are so powerful, they're so mighty. Look what they're doing in Iran. Look what they're doing in Iran. You're going to tell me with a straight face that two authoritarian regimes, one that is ruled by the Islamic law of the land, and one that is just ruled by an authoritarian leader, that these people, that the death of one person sparked them in a way that they're taking the violence right to the police, that I can't expect the same out of Russia and the Russian citizens? I have so much more respect for what is going on with Iran and the Iranian protesters than these people that are just all of a sudden popping out of the woodwork. No, we don't want this war anymore. No, 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 no. Where were you months ago? Too little, too late. So, my prediction as to where all this is going to go, if we can just simmer down a little bit. Oh, by the way, in Beijing, I mentioned before, in Beijing, another story that's getting buried. Apparently, there's a coup going on there right now that Xi Jinping, whatever, Winnie the Pooh, is surrounded in his little Winnie the Pooh tree by tanks and army trying to take him out of power. He's under house arrest apparently, but you can't get confirmation of that because Beijing is surrounded and you can't even get press in or out right now. So who knows what the hell is going on there? We could have two major world powers in Russia and China be just completely in disarray within a month's time. So, my predictions as to where things are going to go. Putin, as long as I'll give you two scenarios. If Putin remains in power, yeah, Putin, not Putin, and yeah, I say nuclear instead of nuclear. I say it and it just comes out of my mouth. I hear it and I go, I know it's wrong. Anyway, if Putin were to use nuclear bombs, yeah, I said it wrong. If Putin was going to use nuclear bombs, and if he remains in power, I think he will. Because he is going to realize that putting several 100,000 more troops on the ground is not going to accomplish an ends to the means here. You have trouble providing arms, transport, clothing, food, armaments for the 300,000 that are there now. If you're going to throw 1 million onto that, what are logistics magically going to solve themselves? Oh, and believe you me, I'm sure everyone that is around Putin is saying like, they don't want to be the one guy that's saying no. So every commander, including what's that guy's name? Gary Tofu, whatever his name is. I don't even respect his name, or he doesn't even deserve to have his rank in the military. The guy that always, when Gary Tofu comes out each night and gives his briefing on military affairs with Russia and says like, we shot down 44 HIMARS today, and that's good because Ukraine only has 12 of them, but somehow Russia took. This is an actual news point he made that Russia knocked out 44 HIMARS launching systems in one day, of which they only had 12 of. But okay, thank you, Gary Tofu. Which, by the way, when anyone sees him talk, do you think he's real? Because he looks like an animatronic from like the Hall of Presidents at Disney World. Anyways, that's enough of the Gary portion of the video. So, if Putin is to remain in power, people like Gary Tofu and all these other sycophants that are around him, I'm sure they say for him, yeah, you can send 1 million. Oh, we have plenty of tanks. We have plenty of outfits and coats and, boots and whatnot. Yeah. AK-47, we make them. well, these guys will be armed to the teeth. Even though guys right now are some of which are fighting with bolt action rifles that were from World War I and World War II. Even World War II. Some of the people have World War II tech. It's like, wow, whose ass did you kiss in the Russian army to get that sweet weapon? So anyway, no one is going to say no to Vladimir Putin. They're going to say, we're the motherland. We're the kings. Haven't you seen the headlines saying that we're the second most dominant military might in the world? Ukraine ain't going to be able to stomp us out if we put more boots on the ground. Anyway, so let's just ignore all the misnomers that have gone so far, like having civilian transports trucks having to bring in troops within by the third week of this conflict, this war, this special military operation. Anyway, ignore all the propaganda that's always said, oh, everything's just going as planned, even though we told you from the get-go that we're not going to have to mobilize troops. We have enough conscript army, we have enough regular enlisted army to get us through this. Ignore all that, Russia. So my forecast here for if Russia sends all these boots on the ground, they're going to find out by Halloween that there are about 100,000 less boots on the ground. Well, actually, technically 200,000, because you have to double it for the number of boots since each person has 2 legs. And by the way, did anyone see that? Oh, I wish I had the picture available to me right now. There's a picture of Russian soldiers, and it looks like something out of Lord of the Rings, because there's 2 normal height individuals and a little person. I don't know what the politically correct term is. He looks like Willow from the movie Willow, and looks like the axe guy from Lord of the Rings. I forget his name. Hemley, was that his name? Anyways, and it shows them in like their military garb with like the Russian patches, and the little person looks like he's wearing like regular adult size boots, because that's probably all they have in the military, because they don't make little person boots for military issue. It is like one of the most ridiculously, if you want to say humorous, carny things that I have ever seen. And I'm like, Russia's that desperate that they're enlisting little people from Russia that are like not to make a joke out of it, almost as tall as the gun they have to fire. And this was from like a couple months ago. This picture, maybe it was just a fake picture or something, but I don't doubt it, because they're willing to take anyone that has current vital signs that show that you're a living being, and are ready to pick up a gun and have a finger that can go like this. If you have a finger that can go like that and you're currently still alive, Russia will accept you right now. Even if you're in jail, like, oh, imagine if EDP got arrested. It doesn't matter. They'll put pedos out there with guns or whatever. Like, if he ever got arrested in jail, like, he'd be there with all his guns, like, oh, yeah, get some, yeah. And let's be real, he'd be the first one to die. He'd be like stuck under, like, he'd be stuck in a trench or something. Like they'd be like, oh, we didn't know to dig the trench wide enough for you, EDP. Oh, you're stuck. I don't know why I'm speaking with a pseudo French accent there, but anyway. We did not make the trench wide enough for you, ETP. You big fat American ass, no fit through trench. That's why you get shot in ass. Help me out. No. It'll take 10 guys to carry you. We cannot sacrifice that for the motherland right now. You have to die in trench. Sorry. Anyways, that concludes the EDP portion of the video. So anyway, I'm stuck with him being stuck in a trench because he's so wide. But seriously, if he was arrested in a Russian jail, they would let him serve. Anyway, so my prediction is that if Vladimir Putin stays in power, and these special enlisted forces that got ripped out of their mothers' homes and basements, and some people ripped off of the fields and out of the retirement communities there, once these people start dying off, Vladimir Putin's going to be like, well, we got to start tactical nuking. That's the one way that we can get a clear advantage and say, cross this line and we're going to send more tactical nukes your way. And at that point, I think Joe Biden and the world leaders are going to have enough with Russia. Now, what I would personally do is right now in Poland, I would have a stockpile of long range cruise missiles, long range HIMARS armaments, and say, okay, we're not going to give you these yet, Ukraine. But the first nuke that goes off, guess what? We're going to move them from, if the borderline is right here, we're going to move them from here to here. There's going to be CIA operatives with information to give you. There's going to be probably military personnel from America that are going to be like, okay, put in the coordinates for this place, this place, this place, this place. This is the locations of every single military base in Russia. This is the locations of every single oil refinery. Put the numbers in there and then push that button there to launch. And then just send tactical strikes and say, and Joe Biden, if I was president, I would come on, I'd say, we have now given the capability of Ukraine to attack any point in Russia from afar. Like maybe they couldn't get all the way to Western Russia, but let's be real, Eastern Russia. Western Russia is where a lot of the capabilities of the army and whatnot, though a lot of the oil is in the eastern part of Russia. But a lot of the places that Putin cares about the most are in Western Russia. And you could give long-range attack devices that could well hit them from there, from any point in Ukraine. Anyway, so I would say the next nuke that goes off, we are going to scramble every single fighter that we have in the area. They are going to be armed with tactical nukes as well. One more nuke goes off, 500 nukes go off in Russia. And we already know that you've lost at least a third of your fighting planes in Ukraine. You have no ability to take down our stealth fighters. You have no ability to stop the submarines that are going to be shooting from every sea that is in a remote distance from Russia. We are done playing with you. We are not going to take the nuclear threat anymore because we're going to bring the nuclear threat to you. And that's what I think it would have to come to. Now, do I think it is going to come to that? I do not. I think before Halloween even comes, we are going to have a complete upheaval of power in Russia. Because once these people that got ripped out of their homes and enlisted, and they, start basically deserting in droves, start saying, I give up whatever, Ukraine, take me in. Because honestly, living here in a Ukraine prison camp is better than living in Russia right now. And number two, a lot of them are going to die. And people are going to keep seeing people die. And people are going to have to keep being called to get replaced in just the month of October. And it is going to be a point where there's, not going to be enough to pull from the pool, where you're going to have to start getting people from the police force, because they're going to be some of the more able-bodied persons left to pick from in Russia. You're going to get a weakened police state. And on top of that, the protesting is going to get tenfold worse. So I don't see how the police state is going to be able to keep things calm enough to keep the proletariat in charge in Russia, the Kremlin in charge, and that state is going to dissolve. You're just going to see some representative. You're going to see Red Square stormed, the Kremlin walls stormed, tanks are going to be gotten a hold of, or you might even see a separatist coup within the Russian military itself, where you have the Russian military fighting the Russian military. I think that is completely possible right now. You're going to see holes blown in the Kremlin wall, and then you're going to hear radio silence, and then someday some guy is going to come out as the leader of whatever the revolt, the resistance, the what have you is, saying the situation has been liquidated or something along those lines. I'm in charge now. Bow to me. That is all. Something along those lines. And I think it's all going to happen before Halloween. That is my prediction. No, early on I gave predictions saying, like, I think Vladimir Putin is going to get killed within weeks of the war starting because it wasn't going well. Now, that was just me overtly saying what I think should happen. And granted, this is me also overtly saying what I think should happen. but the temperature of the room is a lot different. Back then, I understood that that is what should happen, but realistically, I knew he had enough support from the Russian citizens that Russia, and for the most part, Russians felt secure in Russia. I mean, for crying out loud, look at all the people that were camping out on the beaches in Crimea as missiles were flying in from the Ukraine because they felt damn well safe and secure because they were like, yeah, they're not going to do anything to us. We're the motherland. Russia's defenses will stop anything that comes our way. Oh, so much for that. Ah, get to the one bridge out of town, quick. Bombs are dropping. Do I think it is going to get to a point where nukes get dropped by either side? No, I do not. I do not. It concerns me highly. But man, Russia has got to step up. And the one wild card in this that concerns me the most is a lot of the rabble rousers and the people that are pissed off the most are flocking out of Russia now in the hundreds of thousands. And that is a little concerning because those are the people that need to stay and protest, that need to stay and say, like, we don't like what is going on. But in the end of things, those people aren't coming back. It does get to a point where you got to wonder where Ukraine would just have to say, if they're going to put that many boots on the ground and they're going to put every damn tank and rusty AK-47 left they have, to say, like, look, let them have that eastern part of Ukraine. Their country is going to be such a pathetic shithole state of affair that are they even going to last another year or two in the economic shit pile that they are left as? Because you think all those people left are going to come back? Hell no. And the people putting this proposal out there, and this is what I think is one of the more ridiculous proposals out there, is that Russia is going to dissolve and be like a lot of these little nation states within the country where they're going to get their own sovereignty. Like, you know, there's going to be old school Russia over here by St. Petersburg and Moscow, and then Southland Russia, Central-land Russia, Westland, Eastland, whatever direction Russia that you have. The thing is each one of these areas are going to have nuclear weapons or nuclear weapons, for those of you that care how I say that. And, you know, it's like you can't just say, like, okay, we recognize you, newly formed southeastern Russia. Hand over your nukes and we'll drop, you know, all trade embargoes and all any sort of levies against you that motherland Russia had if you give your nukes up. And they'll be like, oh, like what you told Ukraine to do? Like what happened with the Budapest Memorandum? How'd that work for Ukraine? We ain't giving that shit up. That's why I think that is one of the more ridiculous scenarios, because you can't just have a situation that ends up with these 10 new nations that all have nukes now. Like, that is, I think, just one of the most absolutely worrisome situations. So, a lot of people think that's the direction things are going to go. That scares the shit out of me more than anything else. So, I don't see this last until Halloween. I really don't. I think there's either going to be a political upheaval, or I think the FSB is just going to put a bullet in the back of Putin's head. I think they're going to say, look, even if we win this now, Russia is screwed. The only way we get unscrewed is to show that we are stepping away from this stupid communist era shit. Vladimir, how is your soup? Oh, it's very... It's a bit bloody like your steak. Maybe we'll fly Arnold in to shoot him in the back head or something. I don't know. Anyway. So anyways, everyone, have a good day. TGIM. It's Monday, TGIM. And anytime you get down this week, just think of that visual of EDP getting stuck in a trench because they didn't dig it wide enough for him and he got shot in the ass. That is all.